Hey y'all, welcome to our podcast, Love Speaks Volumes,
where we seek to bridge the communication gaps in our relationships.
We are your hosts. I'm Louise, a certified marriage counselor and certified sex therapist.
And I'm Mekka, a defense lawyer with over 20 years experience.
We are mothers,
wives,
sisters,
and friends.
And together, we are Black Diamonds 2.0 Entertainment. We are strong,
resilient,
powerful,
beautiful,
but never flashy,
pressured, but unbreakable.
Are you a Black Diamond?
If so, wear your title boldly and proudly because you deserve it, my kings and queens.
How are all our Black Diamonds doing today? What's going on in our relationships? Let's talk about it. All right, y'all, we're here again with Love Speaks Volumes. We got a hot topic for you guys today.
Steamy hot.
Yes, indeed.
Steamy.
It is. The topic.
Get your fans now. Get your fans now.
Mm-hmm. You also might want to go ahead and excuse the children from the room.
Shield the baby's ears. This is not for them today.
Yeah.
This is not
that's
for the
what
kiddos.
we keep saying. All right. So my co-host is here, Mekka.
Hey, y'all.
And we also have a special guest today, Miss Lavonda.
Hello.
Hey, Lavonda.
Hey, Mekka.
Hey, we are so excited to have her.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hey. So today we are going to talk about entanglements.
Ooh.
So ladies, how do we define entanglement?
For me, I think the definition of entanglement for me comes from the origin, which if we all think back to the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith.
I think that's the first time we heard
That's
the
the
term.
first time.
At least that's the first time I've
That's
heard
the first
that
time
term,
I've heard
right?
of it. So
Okay.
for me, it's someone that's in a married relationship that is also in a relationship with someone outside the marriage. And so you can take that however you take it. But that's my definition because like Mekka alluded to, that was the first time that I heard the term entanglement. So
I know. I think I kind of got something a little bit different from her. I too got it from the Red Talk and Jada. But I kind of, and of course we know she's married to Will Smith, so we know she's married. But when she said it and the way she was talking about it, I really got, not that she was necessarily in a relationship with somebody else other than her husband, but that she was just boning somebody else in a relationship. I mean, she was boning somebody other than her husband. I don't even know if I got from her that it was a relationship. I kind of felt like she put that term out there to, and it made it sexy. It made it sexy to cheat, and it made it also, when I heard it from her, it kind of took some of the sting out of cheating and some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? It made it less ugly.
yeah, so like it lessened the shock value of, hey, you're actually having an affair.
Right. It prettied it up.
It was
You know
like
what I'm
the
saying?
politically correct way of saying
Yeah.
it. I don't know.
I guess, but it to me, it just kind of, it made it seem like it wasn't so bad. It's the
Right.
way she tried to, is what I was getting from it. Even though we all know cheating is just damn wrong. It's just bad. So I don't care how you try to, as my friends say, put some sugar on it. She put some sugar on the cheating. That's what it was. She didn't say I was fucking around. She said I was in an entanglement. Right. So it sounded prettier. It sounded sexier, but it didn't sound as bad.
Well, here's the question, though. How can an entanglement not be a relationship?
So that's what I was going to say. I mean, because even when you're sexually involved, you're going to have some sort of relation with this person. Because I believe in soul ties. And so if you're sexually involved with somebody, I'm thinking a tie is you're relating to someone. You know what I'm saying? It's on a sexual nature, but you still have that relationship. Or now in an entanglement, a situationship. Because you're not really... you don't really belong to that person. Do you know what I mean?
I guess we will probably need to delve into what is a relationship, because I think different people define it differently. And we're also, of course, we're going to have to do a part 2, because I know our male listeners are going to be jumping on this and be like, we want to hit a man.
I already know one in particular.
Absolutely. So we're going to do a part 2 just for our male listeners, so we can get their side of it. But I often, and this is, we talk about a lot how, men don't think like us, right? And so I think a lot of men, especially the ones that I know and that I've talked to, they don't see necessarily sleeping with a woman as being in a relationship with a woman. And so women, because we tie sex to emotion, we tend to say, okay, if I'm boning you, you my man. We in a relationship. Whatever you want, we in a relationship, because I'm giving my body to you. Men don't look at it that way. They just stick and keep moving, and it's not necessarily considered a relationship for them. So when a woman comes back and says, well, I thought we were, blah, 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 and he'll be like, hold up. No, it is what it is. It was sex for us. I never told you was my girl. So if she saw him out with somebody else and she flipped off because she was caught in her emotions because she was sleeping with him, she saw him as her man because they continuously sexing, he would have been like, hold up. Well, I never told you that.
Well, so because what you're describing sounds like commitment or not. It's still a relationship. We have a relationship because we're relating to each other physically.
Right.
Like, it may not be a whole lot of emotions involved, but that's still a relationship.
Right. So I agree. I think the definition of a relationship should first be the first thing in the forefront, because we have a relationship because we're friends.
Right.
But it's on a different plane. Right.
And that's why I say we define what is relationship, because we as technically looking at, if you look in the definition of relationship, you would say, hey, if you're relating to somebody, it's a relationship. But if you ask a man if that's just sleeping with a girl, are you in a relationship with her? He's not looking at it in the sense, he's looking at it as, do I have a soul tie with her? Do I have an emotional connection with her? He's going to say no.
So I see where you're going, because even if you ask a man, do you have a relationship with your bro friend, they're gonna be like, that's my bro. They're never, I won't say never, but it's gonna be rare that they say, yeah, we have this friend relationship.
They don't look at it in those technical terms.
That's my dog.
Is what I'm saying. So that's why I say we have to define what we mean by relationship, because it means something different to different people.
So I guess in an entanglement, then I wish y'all could see their faces.
Did you see the pregnant pause?
So I guess in an entanglement, it is kind of a relationship because you're entangled together. It is connection over time and not necessarily emotionally, right? But that you are relating to this person on a physical level. So we can still call it an entanglement, but there's some connection somehow, whether it's just physical, emotional. I find it hard to believe, though, that there can't be some type of connection with this other person. And I won't say deep connection, right? But you got to at least like them or something.
Yeah, because if you think of the word entangle, I mean, some part of, like a vine that's entangled, some part of one of the vines is touching another part of the other vine. And so when you think about that, we could be connected by the fact that we may work together, we may have the same hobby. So it's something that brought these two together, just like the vines. It's something that brought these two together.
Lust.
Honey, it could be lust.
Well, I guess
thing is strong. That thing is strong.
It could blame it on the alcohol. It might be that blaming on the hit. It might be. I'm telling you, a lot of things end up finding people in the sack.
So you're right. Lust, infatuation, emotional, physical. It's a lot of different things.
Drunk. One night stands,
alcohol.
I mean, you could think
However,
of a whole lot of one night stands.
But is an entanglement a one night stand? Though?
It could be,
But you're entangled.
So for me, if it's a one night stand and you're married, I would definitely say that's an entanglement.
Yeah.
I just have this really, because of the origin. Like I said, the first time I heard it.
But was it just one time when they defined it before?
It may have been one time sexually, but mentally or emotionally, has it been more than one time?
See, that's where so when I think of entangled, like we have a lot of podcast cords hanging around here. It's going to take a minute to untie that.
Right.
Yeah. So would a one-nighter, like I just showed up at a bar, we just met the first time, I don't know if that, to me, that doesn't sound like entanglement. Now, if we're coworkers and we end up at the bar and we've been talking and texting one another and, there's some connection there, then boom, boom, bam. Yes, that sounds very entangling.
And you're married.
I'm
married. Sorry.
Or maybe not even married.
Or in a long-term relationship.
That's right.
Exactly.
Maybe you're not
committed.
You're committed somewhere
I
else.
agree.
At least somebody is committed. I don't know if both is committed if somebody end up in an entanglement, but at least one of us committed
Right.
at one point in time.
But one of the things that we talked about before on some of our episodes is if that's not what you want, if you don't want to be in a committed relationship, then just be honest with the other person.
Jesus.
Like, if you want to be in an entanglement and they want to be in an entanglement and y'all want to, be sneaky links every once in a while, whatever, like, do you. But I would say definitely disclose it to the other person so they don't get the shock of their life later.
Or if you're even in the relationship, but you get to a point where you no longer want to be in the relationship.
Then be honest.
Then be honest and just communicate that fact as opposed to going out and finding the sneaky link to get entangled with.
Exactly.
How about that?
Just like
say it.
Fantasia said, if you don't want me, then don't talk to me.
Exactly.
And tell me that. Like
Come on,
communication,
Fantasia.
that's why
Keep
you
it
hear
moving.
that. That's like the first thing people say, what's important in a relationship or a committed whatever friendship. Communications. Just let
Just
me
be
know.
upfront.
Right.
Be vulnerable enough to say it. Or if you're lacking something and that's why you're seeking an entanglement, then how about just say that too? Say, hey, babe, emotionally, I don't feel like you're here for me.
Right.
Hey, I want to switch it up in the bedroom. I don't want to just do the same old vanilla whatever. I want to do something different.
Right.
Can I present that to the table so we can have a conversation about it?
And so why?
Give me a chance to meet that need. But if you don't
let's
give me a
think about-
chance,
so let's
that's a
think
problem.
about why they don't do that. Is it insecurity? What
It's
is
easy.
it?
It's easier, maybe, just to get you a little side
I think it's just
piece.
greed.
Ooh.
I really just think it's just greed. I want my cake and eat it too. Like why should I give up all the things that I am getting from you? And when I can also get them from you if I keep my mouth closed and also get what I'm not getting from
Stop
you over
being
here.
greedy, y'all.
As opposed to,
So that's good. But on a personal level, I don't want to get too personal, but on a personal level, greed was not the factor. So it could be a myriad of things.
Oh, yeah, I
but
agree.
greed that's a good one. That's a good one because you do want all the things. You can't just, multiple choice A. You want A, B, C, and D.
Right.
Well, the other part that, and I don't know your personal situation fully, but I will say there's that part that, yes, you're being greedy. You want your cake. You want to eat it too. But what about those people who completely turn off the emotional and physical connection with their committed person, right? And then they just leave them there kind of like hit by a Mack truck. Like one day you come in, you don't want to say hello to me. You're just being mean to me. And I'm trying to change and do everything I can to figure out what did I do wrong to you. And it's not anything that I did. It's that I'm being constantly compared to whatever you're getting outside. And that's a problem.
So that's what I can speak on because I was on the receiving end of that. And
that's
it was kind of like, what happened? What happened? Another thing is, though, sometimes the person that's on the receiving end in the committed relationship is so blind by whatever it is that they're not seeing the signals or the signs that, hey, these weeds are becoming entangled. And then what are they lacking? Because if you think about, once again, using the analogy of weeds or vines or whatever, that other vine is growing with that other vine or entangling with that other vine because it may be lacking something. So it's going over there to get the water or the fertilizer or whatever it is. But as the person on the receiving
They're
end,
dying.
You're dying.
Right.
You know, you're dying because all the other vibes
the
are
nourishment
over
was
the
going.
nourishment
They
is over
nourishing
there.
it over there
Right.
now.
And so now you get to a point where you're just empty, and so you're at a paralyzed state. And so you don't even notice the entanglement is happening until it actually has happened. So
That just, I mean, it breaks my heart because I guess I've seen that in the counseling office so often. And that's why I always ask my couples, like, is there somebody else? Especially when I see pieces of this beautiful flower over here, whether male or female, I don't care, whatever
You're
it
talking
is.
about the committed person.
The committed person that is there, and they're just withering away, and they're like, why aren't you watering me? Why aren't you giving me fertilizer? Why aren't you doing this? Like, I'm standing strong, I'm trying, and on empty, you know, and still trying to grow and flourish and do everything they normally do.
Right.
And they're not getting it. Like, it breaks my heart because they're the victim in that situation.
Yep.
Because it definitely takes two.
It does.
It takes
and it
two
would be
to
so helpful if that
nourish
person
a
would just say,
healthy relationship.
hey, let me cut this off.
right.
Even though very painful, but let me cut this off so I give you an opportunity to go to another greenhouse, go to another place where you can get some water, some fertilizer, some nourishment, and anything else you might need and may be lacking.
But ego a lot of times don't allow them to do that.
Well, they need
Not
to
only
calm their
greed,
ego down.
But also ego. You know, and I'm not just talking about men, even though we kind of nod toward, you know, because we see this more often with men doing this. But there are some women who out there getting their side dick too. So I won't say it's just men, but most of the time it is men. And I feel like they don't cut that person loose because of their ego. They never they may not fully want you, but they don't want to see you with somebody else either.
Well, that's their problem.
Just,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
No, that's
Just
Again,
some
that's
screwed up,
their problem.
messed up stuff.
That's good because
You need to go deal with your own crap.
Exactly. In similar situations, you're right, Mika, because the committed person could, in fact, ask, well, what is it? I mean, because they may notice that something's different.
Right.
And if the person doesn't tell them, it could very well be that, hey, I know that I'm getting at least A from you, and I haven't fully gotten A from B and C yet, so let me just stay here until I can finish milking A. Then I can go and have A, B, C, and D, and E if I want to. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I just want some of the people who are even considering this, maybe you're about to make that decision to be that entangled couple with someone. I just want to just remind some people of an old thing that people used to say. The grass is not always greener on the other side. In the same way that you have brown spots in your yard right now, there are probably some brown spots. As a matter of fact, I can say 100%. There's some brown spots on the other side. You just know the devils right now in your house. You don't know them devils over there yet.
So let me tell you what I say
part.
to the grass is greener thing.
part.
The grass may look greener on the other side, but if you water your own grass, it can be green too, honey.
The grass is greener where you nourish it. That's where it is.
Exactly.
That's where the
I
grass is greener.
felt a quickening in my
Yes.
spirit.
Yes. So water your lawns at home. How about that? That's what we saying. Water your own damn lawns. You will have some very nice green grass.
Exactly.
I know.
So.
And you know what? Since we on this grass analogy, if you need some help, call True Green. They'll get you back right.
I don't know about calling in no help to get your grass green free.
Well, I mean,
No, I mean therapy.
therapy, right? That's so funny.
Couples, other couples that might, love you and care about you and help. You know what? Y'all, Mika be messing with me.
But no,
Tyrone better call. Tyrone. Come on over here and help me water this grass, man.
because then you calling Tyrone, you're gonna have a debaclement and an
I
entanglement.
know, that's why I was playing with her. I knew what she meant, though. I was playing
A
with her.
debacle, man. That's a good one. That's funny. That is funny.
Yes, people, water your own grass. Have
Please,
nice
y'all.
grass and get some ass when you water your own grass. You ain't getting ass at home just because you ain't watering your grass. That's what we saying. That's what we
This is a
saying.
mess. This is a mess.
But one thing I think we talked about communication, but another thing is do a self check.
Oh,
do a self check on
God.
the committed person and the other person, and become self aware.
Yeah.
I think through my experience, that's one thing that I learned was like people aren't really self aware like they think. They may say, "Oh, this is just me. This is just how I am." But have you really checked yourself as to why? Like, I believe there's a core in all of us.
Yeah.
Like you have a core, and then you may have some orbital things around you that make up who you are.
Right.
But that core, sometimes you have to go back to that origin or that core to figure out, why is this happening to me? Why am I reacting to things this way?
Right.
Yeah.
So doing a self-check.
Yeah,
But
being
once you do
accountable.
that self-check and you become self-aware and you know what your issues
Do
are,
something about it.
hold yourself accountable.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I always self-accountability. How about you want to point the finger at the other person, but when you point one, it's four fingers pointing back at you. So don't always say you didn't do, you did this, or you didn't do that. What about what you were doing and not doing to cause them to do this or do that? So be accountable once you were aware of your own self.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a hard thing sometimes if my ego is really, really big and strong, and it's hard for me to say, oh, you know what, I need to grow.
Yeah,
I need to realize it is, but it's for your better self later. It is for your growth. It is for your development.
Definitely.
To just push through and come on the other side of being accountable and actually taking some actions, because accountability means you got to take some actions. You can't just say, oh yeah, I own it. Yeah, I need to do something about it, and just sit on it, because that's just stupid. That's not accountability. That's not accountability at all. So you got to be ready to act out of what you know. Entanglements are breaking up a lot of relationships out here, y'all.
Yeah,
Too many.
I feel like it's like almost like a justification for doing the sneaky thing.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And that's why. And then they've made it kind of
excuse now.
mainstream. Like it's the norm to have an entanglement or
She
a
made it
chick on the
sexy.
side or
She
And
made it not as bad, not seem as, heinous, but it's still what it is. It's still cheating. It's still bad. It's still not right. It's still
Unless you got an
up,
open
whatever you wanna
relationship.
call it.
I mean, if you open, then
Yeah,
that
that's
means
true.
that you have a contract that says that this is what we're doing, and everybody's informed and
Right.
aware.
That's the part. Everybody's informed.
There you go.
What do they call that in legal terms?
Informed.
I thought it was gonna be some real
No
like
fancy.
special. I know. I was waiting for the special word. There's no special word. Like we have in therapy, we have something called an informed consent.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm informing
We do
you,
too. Yeah,
and then we
same
sign it, and that means you're consenting that you've been informed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then for me, it's just if I'm informed and I've agreed to the contract, there's no entanglement.
No.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
I came over and got you, or the third person, as opposed to,
Right.
just edging my way over.
Which is so interesting though, because if we go back to Jada and Will's relationship, the rumor is, of course, I don't know these people personally. I just know what I see and what I hear on TV and on the TMZ and the news and everything else. But they were supposedly having this open relationship. So, but what makes me think it really wasn't as open as everybody thought it was, or one person was open and the other wasn't, is because she came out and said, I was in an entanglement.
That's
You
why
know
I
what
thought
I'm
it was
saying? Otherwise,
more.
why even explain it? If me and my husband is on the same terms that this is what we gonna do, I don't have to even explain my side relationships, because he already know about that. I'm doing my thing on the side, and so is he.
Exactly.
We just gonna stay together and do it. You feel
But
me?
I'm gonna tell you why it ended up like that, because there were real emotions involved, and so that's kind of what we've been touching on, though. Even though it's an
For who, though?
right? But
For her or for him?
Well,
Because
we don't know.
You ain't heard nothing from him. He chilling.
It doesn't mean that he didn't have
It
them.
doesn't.
Exactly.
It doesn't. But it doesn't mean that he does. Do also,
It's true.
because
It's true.
I will tell you this: emotions will make you say some stuff. Emotions will make when your emotions are high, you start to speak.
he slapped
And
Chris
so,
Rock, so I think that was
That was
pent
Will.
up.
No, that was Will. I'm talking about the guy he had.
okay. I was about to say,
she had
I
the
think that was some
entanglement
pent
for.
up emotion.
No, not him. Not him. I'm
Okay.
talking about between the two entanglees. So. between Jada and the
Alcina.
Alcina. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
but emotions, because those soul ties, I mean, he didn't say anything, but because he probably thought he was getting away with whatever it was. But the emotional piece, maybe not for him, was between Will and Jada. Because why did Jada come out and say it? You know what I'm saying? She felt guilty.
Totally agree
Will was
with
taken
that.
aback because he was like, wait a minute, we agreed on this in the contract, but we didn't agree on this.
Right.
You know?
Or maybe we closed that opening that we had before. You know, who knows what went on. But just the fact that she felt the need to put a term on it and to explain it, as opposed to saying, hey, this is the man I'm sleeping with, or not speak on it at all. It sounds like she felt the need to explain or to put a term to it.
Well, maybe it's because maybe he was feeling a need that she wasn't getting somewhere else. And I think that's why sometimes people end up entangled because they're missing out on something at home, and maybe they're seeking that. So I'm not speaking about them in particular, but just seeing other relationships, like I'm not getting affection at home, but this person hugs me every day. I'm not getting this at home, but this person over here is having conversations with me.
Home, but
so
this person
listens to me all the time.
So I'm gonna jive what you two just said, but it goes back to what you said initially. Maybe she wasn't, or he wasn't, who ends up in this entanglement is not getting what they need or want at home. But it goes back to what we said earlier. Did you communicate that though? So you can't.
Well, no need to if you are in an open relationship, right?
No. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because we were kind of talking about their situation
outside of an open relationship. I thought we had closed the gap between the. So I'm back on track.
I got you.
My bad.
No.
So you're talking about an open relationship. In an open relationship, maybe not.
Well, I just mean like hypothetically, right? Not specifically their relationship. We don't know them, right? But in their situation, the rumor was that they were in an open relationship, right? But even in that open relationship, there's contracts that people actually draw up, and they say, okay, this is what this is going to be and that's going to be. A lot of times, even though we behaviorally can have a contract, emotionally, those emotions can go there, and you didn't mean for them to.
Emotionally.
And that's what I mean. Like maybe the entanglement really was something she was missing at home, or any female or male, whoever, could be missing at home. And then it caused them to connect on a level that maybe nobody expected to happen. I think that's how affairs happen and get started anyway. It's sometimes it starts off very innocently.
Exactly. Yep.
Somebody reaches out to you from your past on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and you, hey, how you doing? Okay. Now every day we talking, hey, what? Something funny happened to me today. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Now we meeting up. And it's like, wait a minute. This is going too far, too fast. There's a book called Not Just Friends, and they talk about how it's about affairs and or cheating, if you will, because it doesn't always have to be a marriage, but it talks about, is someone a friend of your relationship? Because somebody you're entangled with is not going to be a friend of your relationship.
It's totally selfish. I think it's self gain, whatever, lust, greed, what any of the other 7 sins. But yeah, it's self-serving.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. But speaking of breach, I think I think mainly what we've been kind of talking about is physical breach. But you can breach a relationship by having an emotional breach as well. So, I think we should definitely talk about that as well, and make people aware that, just like you were saying, hey, even aside from the open relationship and having a contract, I think you in a marriage, that's a contract in and of itself. If you're just in a marriage and you're supposed to be monogamous, just between the two of us, that is a contract. That's a contract between you and him, and a contract between you, him, and God. So you're in a contract. So if you can breach that physically, but you also can breach that emotionally as well.
That is
right.
An important point.
Right. So anytime you give somebody else outside of your marriage what was intended and what should have been just for the person inside the marriage, that's a breach.
Well, let's break that down a little bit, Mekka, because I think that's a good point. So what kind of things emotionally do you think we're talking about here?
Emotional breaches, I would say, if you wake up every morning and you thinking about that other person, even though you may not have slept with them, because that person is the one that says good morning every morning to you, and that your spouse does not, or you last thought on your mind when you go to sleep is that other person. You may have been you might be in an emotional breach at this stage. It could be that this person, like you were saying earlier, this person always says, you're beautiful, but you don't hear that at home, and you seek that, or that's not just enduring to you, but that's something you long for. You may be in emotional breach at this stage
because you're thirsty.
So
you're thirsty for that,
and dehydrated.
Right.
So I think when you talk about the emotional piece of it, or an emotional fear, emotional entanglement, whatever, you have to then again that self-check. What emotions do I need to have evoked from my partner, from my committed relationship? Because if you're not getting that, you're going to go out. You're going to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying every single person, but more than likely, you're going to go try to find what you need. Now,
sometimes that's unintentional, though. You get it unintentionally.
You took the words right out of my mouth, because especially with women, I can speak on that because I'm a woman. There are certain things that we need. We all have different quote unquote love languages, or things that we need out of a relationship. And you may, be talking to your coworker and find out you have something in common. And that one thing you have in common may be the very thing that you want out of your relationship. And it does become not unintentional, because you just connected on a level that you haven't been able to connect with your committed partner.
And so you have to really want it so bad.
Exactly. It's a void that's filled, whether it's filled the way that you want it to be filled or not. It's going to be a void that has to be filled. And us as women, we are emotional creatures, whatever the emotion is. And so there is always a cup for the thing that we need. It can be half full or it can be half empty.
Depending on your perspective.
Exactly. So what or who you want to fill that is going to come down to that self-check and what you need and who you need it from.
Another thing I just thought about is just attention. If you feel seen and heard by someone else other than the person that you're committed to, you really can just kind of fall into this place because, hey, I'm seen and heard over here. Over there, I'm just, fade to the back.
So that alludes to that attention, that entanglement. The person on the receiving end, if they're not getting what they need from the person that's already in the entanglement, like you said, they've cut them off, then you're looking for that attention because you no longer have that in the committed person, in the committed relationship. So.
Wow. There is so much to talk about with this entanglement piece. Let's just take it. I can't wait till we get to me in this conversation.
Oh, Lord, this going to be something.
I'm just going to say, Marty, we coming for you. We coming for you.
Oh, my goodness.
We coming for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, entanglement. I love it.
Entanglements, side chicks, side dicks, all of that.
Sneaky links.
Debaclements. All of that.
Look, we are the queens of creating some new words. Sometimes we don't know what to call it. We make up our own word out here.
That part.
Well, this has been another episode of Love Speaks Volume.
Y'all keep joining in. We appreciate you.
We want to say special thanks to Lavonda, our special guest today. We'll have Lavonda back. We're going to have her back. I like her. Y'all like, share, and definitely comment in the...
And tell us things you might want to hear.
Yes.
If you want topics you may want us to explore, to talk about. Hey.
We'll talk about it.
Absolutely. We're going to do a live, y'all. We're going to do a live. We're going to post it. Yes. Y'all join us for the live coming up.
Yeah, we'll do that from our Facebook page. Y'all follow, like, share there, and you can listen to the podcast everywhere podcasts are. So that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube. Y'all go out there and cop that and listen to it, and definitely send us some comments. We want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, until then,
let's talk about it.